Welcome to Classic Comics Cavalcade. I'm Jason Sachs.
I'm Amir Malikpour.
And today, you can see by the beautiful art behind us, we are discussing Fantastic Four number 49, If This Be Doomsday. You love this issue.
It's so good. I loved it so much. It was so fun.
It's like the perfect Marvel comic, perfect Marvel superhero comic. It's one of the most Jack Kirby comics we've read. We've read a lot of great Jack Kirby comics on the
Hmm.
pod.
Yeah.
So I'm really anxious to go through this whole comic with you. Did you
Mhm.
see on Tom Brevoort's website, he has a lot of original art pages from there, from the issue?
Oh wow, no.
So that's where I stole my background from. And as we go through the issue, we can talk about that because there's yours. And
Wow.
look how beautiful this looks in Kirby's pencils.
It's amazing.
I mean, look at like the way Galactus's face looks and like the angles on the fins on his head and stuff. The three-dimensionality of everything, like the sense of proportion,
Hmm.
is just gorgeous to me. He even draws Reed's hair. Like you could see like so much detail in the way he draws Reed's hair.
Hmm.
He's
I
like,
mean, yeah.
go ahead.
No, I'm just saying we're so lucky that he took these images. It makes me sad that this art is lost or if they stole it or whatever.
It's just so gorgeous. I mean, look how Galactus like towers over Ben.
Hmm.
I'm gonna flip over to the real issue though. So
Whoa.
as go ahead.
No, I just said, whoa, look at that gaudy color.
It was Christmas in the Marvel Universe. I keep thinking when he's got that thing hanging down over his arm too, he's got like KT tape on
Mhm.
because my wife uses that for her running. Thankfully, the colors change. Oh my goodness, the cover alone. It's like it was such a perfect Kirby cover.
Hmm. Hmm.
I just adore this work. Oh my
I
God.
I could imagine seeing this cover as a kid, and I may have seen it, and it there's just so much going on there, you know. It's so
Yeah.
good.
It's so
It,
simple though, too.
it's simple, but it describes so much because really Galactus is more than just this kaiju monster, right? It's like there's like an entity. They even mentioned in the story where like Galactus can be as big as it wants, you know, and it could be like a could be gas or it could be, it could turn itself to anything. So it's like this force of nature. It's really, and then you got the Silver Surfer and perfect, perfect, perfect issue, I think. As good as it can get from as for a superhero comic.
I think so. I mean, we're going to talk about 50 next week. 50 is an incredible comic.
Oh,
49 is
really?
pretty freaking amazing. Starts with this just breathtaking splash page,
Mm-hmm.
which is just the four, right, with the city behind them. But the looks on their faces, look at that look on Reed's face. Like he is freaking terrified. And you could see it here in the original too. How beautiful Kirby is. Like how much of this really comes from Kirby.
I like how like Sinnott put a lot more beard on it. Or unless maybe that doesn't come out.
No, I think he did add beard. I think Kirby was just implying the beard. And then
Mm.
Johnny's face is in shadow there and really in shadow and with Sinnott's inks. You could just see how much Sinnott added to it.
He did. I really like can you go back to the art of the pencils? I really like the way Sinnott made Reed look older too. Because in this one, actually, here's the interesting thing. I don't know if I like that's interesting, right? In the comics, Reed is actually looks a lot old, not a lot, but much older than Sue does. But in Kirby, as he may have intended, perhaps their age is pretty close to each other.
Yeah, he does draw Reed younger here.
Hmm.
Reed looks like mid-20s here. Sue actually looks older than him. possibly. I didn't think of that.
I kind of like that better. I like them. I mean, modern, or
Yeah. But
them
they
being.
did that in Ultimate Fantastic Four.
Yeah, yeah.
And like maybe his temples went gray because he's just been through a lot.
Mhm.
See, I have friends who went gray early.
Yeah. Or just yeah.
Galactus's costume has changed now in color.
Do we know the background on that? Is there any story as to why they changed? It was just a mistake in the last issue, or what?
I think it was mostly just a mistake. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I don't think they really planned it out very much.
Mm-hmm.
And Kirby just drew this. So I'm not sure if Stan Goldberg or whoever colored it just had his own interpretation of things.
That's a great page. Look at that. Like that's such a like if you go back to the original art, it's like it's as good as any you could find nowadays. It's so
And,
good.
and again, like you can see how Kirby just has the proportions so perfect in here. Because the Fantastic Four just looks so small, and Galactus has so much detail in his costume and stuff. And the Watcher too, like they feel just like they just have so much kind of density to them, so much heft, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
I think what's so funny about this page is like they can hear Galactus and him, and everybody can hear him talk.
right. Yeah, I was thinking about that. So he speaks English? The Watcher does too? Of course, the answer is that the Watcher makes it so that you can understand everything.
Oh, maybe that's why. Maybe the Watcher is making everybody hear what Galactus is saying, but maybe he doesn't. She probably shouldn't do that because it might scare the crap out of people.
Hey Stan, you can send the no prize to me to my address, by the way, for that answer.
Mhm.
Yeah, the confrontation though, right? And like this flowery language they're using too just adds to it.
Mhm.
'Twas you who conspired to hide this paltry world from the eyes of Galactus. It's like so Shakespearean.
Yeah.
It's nice to see
So,
Galactus back in purple. You're right. Of
so can I make a commentary about this issue? Why I loved it so much? Oh,
course.
oh yeah. I was just gonna say this one. It's like such fun storytelling, and I can't believe how. And I think it's Kirby, and then how Kirby juggles three separate storyline in parallel.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of like I really enjoy, Empire Strikes Back, which of course probably stole a lot from Kirby. Not probably, I think he did. How like in that story, how you see like multiple storylines. You got, Yoda and Anakin storyline, and then you got Leia and Han's story. This one, you got three stories. You got Alicia and the Silver Surfer. You got Reed, Sue, and the Watcher and Ben against Galactus. I'm sorry. You got Reed, Sue, and Ben against Galactus and his minion Punisher, and then you got the Watcher and Johnny trying to get that ultimate nullifier or whatever they're trying to get to destroy Galactus. So it's like three storylines concurrently, and the strongest one, in my opinion, is Watcher Johnny, because
Hmm.
it's like the early stages of New Gods, in my opinion, like for Kirby.
You want to skip
And
ahead to,
then
you want to skip ahead to that section?
yeah, and then
There's a little bit of
Alicia
yeah,
and the Silver Surfer speaking. Like that's the other thing. Alicia showing Silver Surfer that humanity matters.
yeah.
And then you got this battle between like this like action packed battle between Galactus and like the three remaining Fantastic Four. And that
So,
page that you have up on there,
yeah.
panel 3, I wonder if there's an original art for that one because I really want to see that panel 3, panel 4.
Yeah, there's Brevoort doesn't have it.
It's so good. Yeah, I don't think he does.
No, he only has up to the appearance of the Punisher thing.
I'm sure, yeah.
Because that's so gorgeous, you're right.
I mean, I wonder what the pencils on that look like. And actually with the red color, it looks painful. It looks like Johnny like had to go, like his soul was ripped apart into another dimension. And
You you
that's
can
the
even
stuff
see a
that
little bit
Kirby
of it
brought
in panel
about.
5. Yeah. Yeah, because then he almost looks like he's torn to pieces in panel 5.
Mhm. It's amazing. I just love this. This is such a great page. Especially the bottom four panels are amazing. Like I would love to see the pencils on those.
Ah, it would be so gorgeous. Well, and the device the Watcher has in panel 2, it's like such a Kirby device.
Mhm.
And the look of fear on Johnny's face on panel 1. This whole page is just spectacular.
Mhm.
And then I love this next page too, where you see Galactus's spaceship.
Yeah, and his planet. I guess there's a planet that he's from too. It's right around the corner.
Yeah. I mean, I love the Kirby tech.
Mhm.
This is such Kirby tech.
It's so cool. And then, Stan comes in and like he kind of explains it, which is good. He's all like, hey, you're the only one that can do this. I just love that background where like um the Watcher tells Johnny, it's like, you're the only one that can, and he's the youngest one. He's the kid. He's basically us because
Right.
it's supposed to be kids reading this. This is a kid's comic book. He's the youngest one saving everybody by like putting his life in danger. And you got like all these celestial, you know, representation of these celestial entities, and the cosmic. What is it? Is it the nullifier, the ultimate nullifier that he gets?
The ultimate nullifier. Yeah. Yeah.
Which,
And like Johnny's never seen anything quite like this. I don't think
Mhm.
we've had a page quite like this before in Fantastic Four. So it's like mind blowing.
Mhm.
It shows the literal distance he'll go to save the Earth too.
You don't come back from that when your molecules have been separated into another dimension.
If you've ever had that happen to you, you know how painful that can be,
Yeah, I went through it a
emotionally
couple
and
of times.
physically. Yeah, this bottom panel is like, oh, it's just spectacular.
Mhm.
But then you're right, because like I'm gonna flip back to the scenes with Alicia, and he's also able to do this really human stuff.
Mhm. Mhm. There's a romance background. Look at that. Look at this Kirby. This guy.
This guy, he was like really talented.
Yeah, he's got the action with Bannon, Reed, and Sue. He's got the romance. Well, I mean, it's kind of romance, right? Romance with Alicia and the Silver Surfer, and then he's got the sci-fi, like cosmic, you know, adventure, like science fiction with the Watcher and Johnny, all at the same time in 20 pages.
All at the same time in 20 pages. It's 6 panels per page or less.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a masterpiece of everything
And
he's done in his career, right?
yeah, and you're saying it's going to get better in issue 50?
I think 50 is pretty incredible.
Wow.
But
I
like
mean,
look at stuff like the suit Alicia's wearing here too. It's like a really cool, like late 60s, mid 60s kind of outfit. She's probably pretty fashionable. He takes the time to draw like pots and pans in her kitchen in panel 6 and the books on her bookshelf. Like he gives us context. And this
mhm,
feels so ordinary
mhm,
and it forces you to think like what would it be if this strange creature came to my home? What would I do?
mhm.
And her humanity, like in panel 5, how she reaches out to touch him and really connect to him.
Yeah, I mean it's kids. There's nothing. I cannot pick anything apart on this. Yeah, it was the '60s or whatever, but it's positive. It's hopeful. It's adventurous. It's people who care. I love it. How old were you when you first read this issue? Do you remember?
I can't remember because it's always been something I remember reading, but I can't
You were a
remember.
kid.
Yeah, I
You
was
were.
a kid. Yeah, I read
Okay.
it in like one of the Marvel reprints,
Mm,
and it spoke to me as a kid. I mean, I totally got it as a kid
hmm
because it's so elemental, you know? It's so real, so
hmm
powerful. I mean, it's probably one of the comics that maybe really want to keep with this with reading comics.
hmm hmm
And this is your first time reading it, right? So it's a different experience for you. Like,
As an adult, as a middle-aged man.
and you still felt like it had that power and it really affected you as a middle-aged man.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I like I love the storytelling, the way that they've divided it up. Um, yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, and that's it too. Like, I talk about storytelling as being the way you're arranged the panels. I'm like, look at the bottom tier of panels here.
Mhm.
It tells a story. It's like a Will Eisner panel tier or something.
Mhm.
You see it in Alicia's face and the way the surfer is reacting to things. There's like it ends the page with a catharsis.
Mhm.
So if
Mhm.
you think of the pages, it's a single unit, right? The surfer has his back to Alicia. He's doing these strange things. He's casting his rays out, where he's destroying the decorations. Alicia's scared, then she turns to him, starts pounding on his chest, pleading to him. And then you could see him turn to face her in the end. So he goes from his back to her to facing her and looking away as if like, oh yeah, actually I didn't think about what I was doing. I have to serve myself, and you just see this torture in him. And yeah, you're right, Amir. I totally see the romance comics angle from this
Mhm.
because it feels like it's something you would have read in a Kirby romance comic.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then we get the superhero stuff. Love the I just Kirby's crowd scenes.
Mhm.
I think Brevoort has this one on his page too, page
Well,
12.
that crowd scene is like classic, like
Oh, he doesn't.
Kirby horror.
Oh, here's the original for the scene that we were just looking at.
But the one that you just brought up on the actual page,
Yeah,
that's like Kirby horror right there, like kaiju monsters or big monster types. I mean, there's like four genres in one.
you're right. You're right. It's four genres in one.
You're
Wow.
just missing the Western.
And then you could see why the Marvel heroes were so powerful, right? Why people really got them because they transcended everything.
Mhm. Well, the combined, I mean, Kirby spending what, 20 plus years up until this point, honing his craft, understanding storytelling on different types of genres, and then here it all comes together.
Hmm. Here it comes together in such a magnificent way. You could, and you could see from the originals how much Kirby wrote it, right? This whole section here, especially, has her dialogue spelled out, so you can see how much Kirby was really creating it in his hands. But Stan really added to it, and you
He
could
did,
see
yeah.
you could see how much they did. I love this little sequence at the bottom of page 12 and into page 13, where he's like, "No one's ever stopped me before," and then Ben's destroying the device, and Galactus is like, what are you doing? No one's ever done this. Why are you trying to stop me? And then he's like, oh, whatever. I can just fix this again in a heartbeat. Like, it's just like, you get the sense that, like, the Fantastic Four are so far above their own heads. And I do remember as a kid this whole sequence where Ben knocks him off the building and then Reed knocks him, like, try to knock him to the ground with a rubber ball, and then Galactus just hovers into space. And I remember like actually like that like totally startled me because wow, this guy Galactus, he's like impossible to beat.
Mhm. And you could argue and say, hey, in a kid's comic, how come Galactus doesn't just kill him right then and there? And I'll just bring in this thing that's not mentioned is he probably just thinks that he's like, this is a waste of my, even if I can kill him in 1 second, let me just bring in one of my, somebody from like one of my minions to take care of him. It's below me to even try to kill them.
They're just petty nuisances.
Yeah. And it's like, it's an insult if I have to do it. It's like, I don't want to have to clean my bathroom. I'll just hire somebody to do it. It's kind of like that.
Oh, I love that analogy.
In my case, clean the oven because I hate cleaning the oven.
I just cleaned my bathroom yesterday. So he's like, yeah, he just waves his finger, calls down this Punisher creature. Not the Punisher we know later, of course.
The first appearance of Punisher. It's not Spider-Man.
Skip past these pages and like this little tiny thing. He might be 2.5 feet tall or something. And like he's overwhelming the FF.
It doesn't even make any sense. Like, why is it little? Why did Kirby choose it to be little? What the hell?
Right, yeah. Well, do you think it adds to the horror of it that it's so little? It's so destructive?
I don't know. It's cute. But
it is
kind
cute.
of funny. Like, it's a size of like, it's probably like it's interesting. I wonder if it came up again in other issues and what's the story behind the Punisher.
If I remember right, there's a little story about the Punisher, so I don't think he ever appeared again.
Oh, okay.
But I remember there's a story that there's like they gathered a whole bunch of international artists to do a tribute to Jack Kirby. They asked people to draw their favorite character. And Mobius chose the Punisher.
Wow.
And they were like, well, why did you choose this obscure character? And he's like, because it was a amazingly interesting character. Like I wanted to draw a character like this in my own books because there's this little tiny creature that destroys everything around him.
Wow, I gotta look for that Mobius Punisher.
Yeah, let's talk about that next week.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
I wanted to bring up one more thing. I know we're running out of our allotted time here. These destruction scenes are so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. Like a lot of this comes from the kaiju stories he did, right? And you'd have, the image of Boomba destroying the earth and all this. But like that panel, the 3, 4, and 5 all are like really feel like primarily like terrifying. Do you feel that same way? Do you feel like they were like really spooky? Did I lose Amir?
Hey, Jason, I think I lost you there.
Oh, we'll have to edit this together.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you think of the scenes where we got to see like the horrors of what Galactus was going to bring to the Earth? I thought that was so powerful.
I love this one and also the next page, but I love that sea where like the fishes, like the fish, like the Dead Sea.
It's super spooky, isn't it?
The next page too, if you go to the next page, it has that's the spooky part. There's no water on Earth. That's the crazy. Like all the water has been drained from Earth.
It's so scary. I think there's a couple originals from this.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, that looks so good. That's better than the coloring. The coloring ruins it actually.
Yeah, I think it does.
Because they color it in green and it should all be like dirt colored,
And the destruction here. And then look at the detail Kirby gives to this section. This is why Sinnott is such a perfect inker for Kirby, because he kept all this and even accentuated it. Like God only knows what Vince Colletta would have done with it.
Vince Colletta would have had one fish there.
He would draw the octopus, and that's it. Oh man, it's all so good. Yeah, he kept everything. You can see, kept all the detail and just gave it the right amount of feathering and style to just have it really stand out.
Mhm, mhm.
So freaking good. And then it ends with the earth nearly on the verge of utter destruction.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
What do you think's going to happen? What's your prediction?
I mean, I kind of know, right? I know the story.
Okay.
I've looked at the issue. I haven't read it in like word. I haven't read the words, but I kind of know what happens. I mean, but I'm interested in seeing the story structure and everything, and look at the art more carefully.
Without meaning to, the Silver Surfer himself may be the cause of Earth's total destruction.
Mm, yeah.
Well, thanks for doing this, Amir.
Thank
For
you.
you watchers, join us next week for our mind staggering conclusion.
Awesome.